Today is a great day because my Patreon students asked me to go and break down this video from Torstein Horgmo, my all-time favorite rider and one of the absolute goats of the sport. If you don't know, Torstein actually makes amazing YouTube videos on his YouTube channel, and I'd highly recommend checking it out. And in this video, we're going to break down his riding at Woodward, this slushy riding, and see how does he get such good effortless flow and how does he have so much control. As the riders get older and start switching to backcountry, it becomes so interesting because they really start going and minimalizing the movements and breaking it down to the most important parts. So he's my favorite rider. This is my first video on him. Let's just go and start talking about it. Starting with this beauty of a back one. What I love so much about this back one is that it's completely sent upwards. He's not going and using extra energy to rotate, stalling, just clean and smooth. So first, how is he coming into it? Just light toe pressure, and something really important here, look at how he's keeping his chest open. This is giving him a really good platform to generate rotation from. So he's coming in, going super down. Look at how squatted he is. This is because he's trying to take his power and put it straight up. Full extension, but see how his upper body still leaned forward. He still has a little bit of bend in his legs, keeping that balance over the same point. And the most important thing here is look at how his head is still spotting forward. A lot of people struggle with back ones because they'll rotate their head first, sort of like you would for a backside 360, but you actually need to keep your head looking forward, and that's because his eyes are locked on the knuckle. And this makes it so as he travels through the air, he sees where he is in the air, and he finishes in that blind landing. So this is a prime example of just super simple, super clean, a little bit of an open chest, using most of his energy to go upward because he doesn't need much rotational force, and then perfect upper body and head positioning, allowing him to utilize counter rotation to get the 180 around. And because he used that little bit of counter rotation, the landing just comes so easy. And he goes and rocks it into this amazing front underflip 5, cab underflip. I'm so bad with that kind of thing, so forgive me. Let's see what he's doing here. First, coming in with a nice early setup carve, plenty of time to get on the heels, and see how he's really patient for doing his wind up. He's not actually winding up his arms until he's already after his heel edge. That's really important because you don't want your chest opening too soon. Then he goes and holds it for a second and starts flowing just nice and fluent. And what's happening here is he's getting a little bit of an off-axis cork, not like full underflip, but in between. And this is one of the best things you can do to really make your front fives look so much cleaner. And it's all coming from this. So see how his arms are by his hips here? This is making it so as he throws his spin, he can lift his arms, and now he's getting that little bit of upward momentum. Though he's still making sure most of the force is set over rotation. If you wanted to go and do like a front underflip, you would have kept his body 90 and thrown it up straight. But because he's trying to have it more of a spin, he's letting his upper body rotate past that 90 point. And what's really important here is he's continuing that rotation through. See how his upper body is rotating all the way until his tail snaps off? But he actually doesn't need much rotational power on this because he's going and activating a dunk. This dunking motion really speeds up a frontside 540 and makes it just so much easier to get around, where normally front fives are really hard to get around just spinning flat. Take usually around as much power as a front seven, a little bit less. So what's he doing here? First things first, even though he's going and dunking downward, he's making sure that his chest is fully tall, his legs are again in that like 95% extension, and see his chest is relatively over his toe edge still. This is something that people really mess up with. They'll go and put too much pressure on the heels and match their whole upper body into it, so when they throw, they're now throwing off their heels, instead of throwing more off the toes. So he's keeping his chest a little bit over top of that toe edge, so when he throws up, he can pull in his legs, and his center of mass is still set over that toe edge, just in a more squatted down position. This lets him just go and instantly activate his core and start flexing in. And for head positioning, even though he's going upside down and he's like doing a bit of a flip, see how his head is staying in a neutral position, not looking, not leaning, instead it's just staying centered. This is because he's going and holding a nice spot on the knuckle here, and his shoulders are squared, leading the rotation. He really doesn't need to do anything. Now he can just go and hold it, keep the eyes down, and let the rotation come through. His spin to flip ratio is a little bit off, and that's why he needs to let go of the grab a little early and sort of stretch it out. But just the comfortability just lets him do that with ease, and he comes into the landing absolutely perfect. Let's just take a moment to respect this landing. As he squats down, his upper body's going forward in perfect straight line in correlation to his legs bending down. So he's going and really absorbing all of this impact as safely as possible and doing it really clean. And notice how he's letting his upper body and his board continue on this slightly over-rotated angle. He's not immediately trying to rotate his body this way. This is because his momentum is taking him on a slight angle. So if he tried to go and instantly pull his upper body facing straight downhill, it would make him a little bit edge catchy and he wouldn't be able to disperse his impact as cleanly. So that's a really important thing on landings, is make sure you're landing with your whole body in the direction that you're going with your momentum. And then after that, he goes and turns and gets out of it. Then he goes into this beauty Hardway front free. One of the sickest tricks. It gets so much pop, so much power. And he's coming in super patient, getting on the toe edge. See how he's flat base as the jump's starting to go up? This is like perfect transition timing. And then from there, now he's closing off the upper body, keeping the hips closed. And as he goes and snaps his spin, keeping that weight nice and over the front foot, getting full extension. And see how his upper body here isn't like over snapping like he was for the 5 where he was trying to get it dipped down. Instead, it's completely lifted, completely 90 chest tall. And he has really good upper and lower body separation here, what's letting him get that snap. And now he can go and use counter rotation, bring the legs in, slowing down the maximum rotation velocity, giving him control, letting him get that grab sooner and hold it longer. And his head positioning, perfect right on the knuckle. If we actually go and look at this full clip, we can see that his head's spotting at the knuckle the whole time. Down there at the knuckle, down there at the knuckle, and he's landing looking forward. How is this possible, landing looking forward on a front free? I get asked this a lot. And it's happening because he's going and setting his spot early on that knuckle, and then he's setting a little bit extra rotation, because remember how his upper body was so snapped here? More rotation than he needs for the frontside 360, keeping that eyes on the knuckle and going a little bit deep. So as he keeps his eyes on the knuckle here, he can sense that he still has a lot of airtime, he still has a lot of room to move. So instead of trying to fight and hold his rotation being still there, instead he's going to let his upper body continue rotating as the legs stay in place. And this continuation of letting the upper body rotate and letting the spot come through makes it so the board doesn't keep spinning, and basically it's using counter rotation to slow down the spin instead of speed it up. So for anyone trying to do frontside 360 spotting downhill, you need to snap them a little bit harder, get through the rotation a little bit sooner, and you need to go a little bit bigger. So that way, as you travel over the knuckle, you can still shift and put your vision downhill. And from there, you want to let your upper body continue rotating as you use your core to keep stable here. And you can see it's a very subtle motion, very small, and just done to perfection. Little butter trick. Let's go and break this down. This is pretty cool. So coming in, cab 1, ooh, actually legit butter on the tail. So for this, what's really important is see how his weight is set on his back foot, getting that little bit of pop. But to counter this, he's going and pulling his upper body really forward, using a lot of rotation of that upper body, continuing it through. And that's what's making it so he can shift his butter to that foot. Because even though he has his weight loaded on the back foot here, his upper body is preemptively set forward, making it so as he pops up, his weight now shifts to that foot, letting him get that smooth, quick butter. That actually is so much more steezy getting that little butter in there. And then what else is he doing here? Watch his upper body angle and how it's positioned pretty close to over the balls of the feet. This is making it so as he rotates, his upper body's moving almost not at all. And now he's just sinking it a little bit more down to go and get into his backside 360 position. But that's a really important thing for all of these butters. You need your upper body in a position that will work on your heel edge the same as it will work on your switched toe edge. And then from here, he's adding a little bit more bend to his upper body, breaking at the waist, some might say, but you can actually do that on a slushy jump on a back free. And that's because you don't need a lot of throwing power in a back free. If he tried to put a lot of power into his takeoff, it would make him throw down, but instead of power, he's relying on upper and lower body separation. See how his upper body is continuing to rotate past, back arm here, and now he can utilize counter rotation. See his legs start twisting and pulling through. So he's really only using a little bit of energy to get his upper body into a 180-degree rotation. And then because his shoulder is leading, his chest is leading, he can now just go and rotate the hips independently, coming around 360, no problem. And that's a really good technique for like powder back freeze, side hip back freeze, is using it like that. Another boosted back 1, Phew. Oh. Frontside 180s are legit one of the hardest tricks you can do in snowboarding, and Torstein has one of the best. So he's coming in, nice windup, even though it's a small trick, still getting that full windup. That's because he's using all this range of motion, all this pop to take him straight up. And see how his upper body's rotated 90? And his legs are getting that nice pop off that tail. And that's something I'm really noticing here. He's always getting the most out of the jumps, getting as much height as possible. And now because his upper body's rotated, he's now pulling his upper body in the other direction, evening it out using a bit of counter rotation, so that way he's able to come into the landing clean. And he's landing two-footed at the same time because he got that perfect angle on the takeoff. And this is the other trick that my student asked me to talk about, the back cork 5. And if anyone knows something about corking backside, it's Torstein. First ever frontside triple cork done by this man. And yeah, let's see what he's doing here. So first things first, not a perfect takeoff, not perfect fundamentals here, but it doesn't really matter. When you're trying to do a backside 540, it's a really flexible trick, and you don't need that ridiculously powerful platform to like generate extra torque, extra power. Instead, it's all about getting your upper body on the correct angle. So when you go and snap your spin, you go and snap onto it, and the correct angle is the one that lets you cork as much as possible with keeping your eyes on the knuckle. See, if his legs were a little bit higher here, his spot would then be up in the sky and he'd be blind and he'd be forced to look over the shoulder. But because he's using the perfect amount of cork, he's able to keep his eyes at the knuckle for the full duration. And that's the most important thing when trying to cork a backside 540. So let's go and break that down in more detail. So first, setup carve. He's getting onto his toe edge really early here, and that's why we're seeing that pre-spin. But as he's getting on his toe edge, what he's doing a really good job of is just doing it with full confidence and full extension on the drive up. So even though he's getting crouched down here, breaking at the waist and like coming in on an angle, because he's going and focusing on getting his momentum snapped upwards and he's getting this full extension, it's not really impacting him. Again, if he tried to put like a bunch of power into a spin in this position and try to snap through it, it'd make him throw down into the ground. But instead, he's basically using like a full ollie principle in order to get maximum extension and maximum height. And he's using that energy from the extra bend in the legs to lift his chest. From here, let's look at head position. So he's taking off with his body on a very consistent angle. And this is actually how you want to cork a backside spin, is consistency with the angle. So his upper body's slightly rotated towards that back foot. He's getting a nice bit of extension of the legs, and he's taking off strong core and strong. And that back arm is leading. His head is actually really rotated for the spot. And that's making it so he's just looking around to spot at 180. This is how I do backside 540s as well. Some of the pros have found ways to spot it sooner, but this is the OG way and it works really good. And what's really powerful about this spot is watch his head here. See how he doesn't need to move it at all for the spot to come into the landing? And that's really all there is to a backside cork 5. If you can go and get a strong takeoff with your core extended, a good amount of pop in your legs without over popping, even if you pre-spin, even if you're leaning forward, your angle will naturally sync up with a rotation. It's one of the most forgiving axes of the rotation tricks in all of snowboarding, and that's because you can use counter rotation to finish it, adjust it, and it just feels really flexible. Then as he hits that landing, super solid blind landing, looking back up, absorbing it, perfect form, riding away no problem. Frontside 7, using exactly the same principles basically. And now we're into the POV stuff, so this is where we'll end the video. I'd highly recommend checking out the rest of it because Zeb is featured and it's just a really fun watch. So I hope you liked it, I hope you learned something new, and we'll be back at it with another one soon.